Well guys, it's time for a Q&A! Contrary to popular belief, Q&A does not mean quack and asshole. It actually means questions and answers. But before we get into the questions and answers, if you're wondering what's playing in the background, we're listening to Fratricide. My good friends from California started a death metal band. Definitely check it out with the Bandcamp and the link provided in the description below. Alright, so about 2 weeks ago I had on a YouTube community post, ask me questions and I will answer them in a future video. And since there are 119, if I remember right, questions asked, that way this video won't drag out too much. I'm going to be picking and choosing the questions that I think really stand out or have the most comedic value, or I can give the best possible answer to, so you get the most bang for your buck with this type of video. But one question I will ask that's not a part of that community post that I get asked a lot is what happened to my Instagram account? Like seriously, I get asked this basically every other video, and it's been deleted now for like a year and a half. And it all has to do with the fact that it got hacked. I never really got around to contacting Instagram about it, and I just kind of let it go, and it's been deleted now for quite a while, so hopefully that answers the question now. Alright, now on to the questions a part of the community post, and we'll start it off with the one that was most thumbed up, it being from Danny Durcio. When will you release an OnlyFans? In all honesty, probably never, but just to make a joke out of it, alright? I will unironically make one if I were to ever hit like 100,000 subs, just for like a stupid way of celebrating it, which will never happen because of the shit I talk about. There's not 100,000 people out there willing to subscribe to stuff like this. Next question comes from Zora23. We know you like the music, but what about your other hobbies? What do you really enjoy? Alright, so this is kind of like two answers to this question. I kind of want to do this quick because I've tried recording this with the answer, but it's always reached out to like 5 minutes. But the short story is, first one was archery. I loved archery as a little kid, and it all started with my obsession with Lord of the Rings. I'd watch the action sequences with Legolas and be like, fuck yeah, I want to do that. So, ironically, my parents bought me this really cheap-ass bow and arrow set that was just made out of plastic. I mean, the arrows had suction cups at the end of them. And I got so interested with that they actually took me to classes a year later, got really good at it. My parents noticed, and around the age, I want to say, of 12, my dad bought me my first bow and arrow set, and I got better and better, and he started buying me better stuff because, you know, I was just doing that good. The reason I think he was just so into it, buying me all this stuff and treating me, was, you know, I was doing good in school, along with the fact that me being obsessed with archery got my dad obsessed with archery, so he was like as obsessed as I was. And around the age of 14, I got this bad boy right here, which I've shown off once in like a parody video, but this is the Hoyt Katera XL that was like top of the line when I got this. And I think we waited like 9 months for this to come in the mail because they kind of like do all this special coating with the paint. Even the strings on it match the color of the bow. Like, this thing is absolutely badass, and I was getting so good, and my coach took notice of it, that I'm going to sound like a bragging asshole, but if there's one thing I can brag about myself, I was fucking good at this, people. That he wanted to take me to nationals, like, all around the country, like, free of charge, basically, because I was just that good. That, just as a side note, too, I cannot compete in Olympics because the Olympics don't allow compounds with bows like this that have the cams and, like, the limbs like this where you can adjust. You're only allowed to do Olympics and archery with those recurve bows, which are basically the ones you'll see in, like, you know, Western movies that Native Americans shoot that don't have any of this fancy stuff. But yeah, I was getting so fucking good at it. And you might be asking, well, why did I stop? And it's really out of my control, along with the fact that, again, I was like 15 when all this stuff started happening. But the place we went to that would charge us free of charge to go there, like, shoot at their own range, no charge, it was free, relocated like 50 miles in the opposite direction of us, and it was already like 30-mile drive to get there. So that really put a damper on our morale to go, and we kind of just forgot about it, which fucking sucks. I'd love to get back into this because this bow is easily still shootable, and it's still, for today's standards, like grade A stuff. As for the second hobby, this one was recent. It all started around the beginning of this year, actually in January. My dad now got me into guns, basically. And I was always like really tempted and eager to shoot one, but it's just, you know, how it is in Massachusetts, is the fact that it is really difficult to get your gun license in this state. Everywhere else, you fuckers are lucky you don't need to do what I need to do to get a gun and just shoot it. But since my dad got his license about, I don't know, like a year ago, he can take me to the shooting range around the area, and thankfully, since I'm kind of connected with him, I can shoot a gun as long as I'm like in the same range with him, I guess. And first shot I took with his 1911, bing, bullseye, dead center, and I was hooked from there and started shooting his rifles, his shotguns, and about a month later, I was like, fuck, I need to take a class. I need to get my license to carry. And thanks to this coronavirus, that's nearly impossible now, because thanks to our wonderful governor, who's basically shut down all gun shops and is like forbidden now to even take a gun course, let alone get your gun license, I have to wait for this shit to be over with. But guys, probably should stop talking unironically about politics before Brain Smasher does another video on me. God damn you, Richard. Next question comes from Absentience. Tell us the full story on how you lost your virginity. Okay, so how this worked. My God, I can't believe I'm actually going to tell you guys this. So, around this time, I was dating this girl who was a virgin herself. And we wanted to do it, but my parents were home. I just got my car about, I want to say 5 months ago. And we're like, well, we can't do it here because your parents might walk in on us, and we can't do it at her house because of the same situation. So what would be the next best thing to get some privacy? Apparently, in my dumbass little head, along with hers, we should go to a public parking lot that's supposedly abandoned. And, well, we got to that parking lot, and thanks to her guess, there was no one there. And we just kind of did our thing for a few minutes, and then about, I want to say 10 minutes in, we see headlights in the distance, and we see, you know, the siren lights on top. They didn't turn them on, but we saw it, and I'm like, holy shit, cops are coming! So we are just like rushing to get our clothes back on, and like in the dark too. And what's funny is, I think I put my sweatshirt on backwards. She couldn't find her underwear, so she just put on her pants and like kind of just sat on some clothes with her shirt on, no bra either. And I think I couldn't even find my underwear. I think every clothing I put on was actually inside out, not just my sweatshirt. And the cops come to us, and we're just like, yeah, man, you know, my parents were arguing, and I just felt unsafe. So we kind of just went to this abandoned parking lot, secluded, just to get some peace and quiet. And I don't think the cops believed us for a second. They're just like, okay, you're just two horny teenagers, get on out of here. And yeah, that's just how it went. After that, I dropped her off at her house, went back home, and I think I went to go take a piss, and I realized I still had the condom on. Next up, by Quest of Metal, would you rather sit through an hour of Loudwire list or an hour of only Nightwish reactions? Suicide isn't an option. Alright, so in all seriousness, I would choose the Loudwire list, because even though I made a video about them, what's kind of entertaining, surprisingly, about these Loudwire lists is that they're just so incredibly bad sometimes that it becomes like ironically funny. Whereas Nightwish reactions, it's gonna be the same thing for an hour of a girl or boy looking at this metal band. The girl starts singing and they go, wow, someone with a vagina can sing in metal! Ryan McGrail asks, favorite genres outside of metal? The first genre that comes to mind is post-rock, but I'm nowhere as a fan as I once was with the genre, because really the only post-rock bands I still keep up with that I still enjoy quite a lot is Yindi Halda, God is an Astronaut, and If Trees Could Talk. I also do enjoy some hip-hop. Obviously, Clipping is the first one to come to mind. Really enjoy Danny Brown, and Bus Driver is a phenomenal hip-hop artist that I see basically no one ever talking about. But other than that, it's really just not the genre I enjoy, but like a specific artist within that genre that I only really like that one specific artist. Like, I'm not a country fan, but I adore Orville Peck's Pony, and I can't wait to see what he'll do next. I'm really not crazy for like synth pop rock, but you know, Depeche Mode has always been a personal favorite of mine. And you know, just again, really kind of like niche pockets of niche subgenres of really like specific artists. So really, I guess experimental hip hop and post rock are the two like actual genres I really do enjoy outside of metal. Alright, next question was asked by multiple people, so I'll just all put into one big melting pot, all about my own tattoos. One of them being, will I ever do a video talking about my tattoos and showing them off? And I wouldn't mind doing that until I get everything I want to get finished on my arm done first, which sadly is not going to happen anytime soon, because last week I was supposed to get another piece done in my inner arm, but that's not going to happen thanks to this coronavirus. And the other question surrounding my tattoos is, why did I black out my whole right side of my arm? Which is a very simple answer. All of this that is blacked out was covered with fucking shit tattoo ideas and tattoos that were just poorly done. Alright, I'll just say this. I really do believe that we should up the age of tattoos from 18 to 21 because, you know, 18-year-olds really start to think they figured out themselves around this time. And time again, I see 18-year-olds, when they get tattoos, years later regret their decisions. And I'm a perfect example of that, because I'll just say this, that when I was 18 getting tattoos, basically my requirements and my standard for tattoo artists was, if you own a shop, well then you must be good enough to tattoo me. But as a little side note, I will say I do not plan on keeping my arm blacked out. I do plan on going over it with white ink in the near future once all this stupid corona crap is finally over and done with. Up next is from Rajiv Kriwal. He asks, who is your favorite Lovecraftian entity and why? This is an easy one. Yog-Sothoth is an easy pick for me because, to me, this monster, entity, whatever you want to call it, perfectly represents what Lovecraft is trying to do with how he writes his stories. That all about, you really kind of can't describe this monster. It's the indescribable that, you know, when you look at all the pictures people have made of Yog-Sothoth, none of them are consistent. Whereas, yeah, Cthulhu, you'll have the same template. You know, squid head, human body, dragon wings. Whereas Yog-Sothoth, you really can't describe exactly what it is, which makes it all the more terrifying. And continuing on with more Lovecraft questions, Josh Crow asked, favorite Lovecraft story and why? Now, this one's kind of tough, because as much as I come off like this big, diehard Lovecraft fan, Lovecraft stories have been always kind of criticized because Lovecraft himself is not that great of a writer. And those criticizations are not coming from just random people on Reddit. A lot of them come from the people that were influenced by him that still continue on the mythos to this day, because, you know, he has like a weird vocabulary, and it's just kind of like rigid how a lot of his stories have this kind of like flow to it that, you know, even myself, I still have like trouble really like reading them and still having, you know, the time and energy and effort to like, you know, dive into them again and again. But the one I really enjoyed a lot was Crawling Chaos, that has Nyarlathotep in it, because this is like one of the very few stories by Lovecraft where it's not like this, you know, gray area with the entities, that they're not really bad or good. They're just kind of like, you know, something us humans can't comprehend, and they just do whatever the fuck they want. Whereas Crawling Chaos really paints the Nyarlathotep more like this, evil entity that just makes it more relatable for, me to read on with. Next question comes from Jack Falcon asking, can you post the full cover of you and your friend being high on marijuana singing Unwritten by Natasha Bedingfield? Honestly, to God, I don't have a problem posting the whole video on my YouTube channel, but you know what, just to savor it, I will post it when I hit the next milestone on this channel, if I ever do hit it, just for a weird, fun celebration for the channel. Samuel, bridegroom of Lithith, asked, did Griffith do anything wrong? Of course he didn't do anything wrong. He had a goal, a vision, a dream, and he accomplished it by any means necessary. So I don't understand why people get this whole thing about him that he was so evil and bad and everything he did was wrong. He had every right to do every single action he did. And, you people are just crybabies that need to get over it. Griffith did absolutely nothing wrong. Oh boy, this is a good one. By Oda von Thielmark. What is your favorite Rucka Rucka Ali song? Oh man, let me think for a second because teenage me enjoyed him a little too much. But the first ones that come to mind that I really enjoyed were Go Cops, Emo Like a Nazi, and Don't Be a Playa Haiti. Next question comes from EQPTV asking, what is your most contentious, controversial, or otherwise unpopular opinion? Well, the first ones that come to mind are usually when I compare two bands that, it always seems like one band is specifically better than the other. Like, for instance, I do believe Judas Priest is superior to Iron Maiden in every single way, which gets a lot of people riled up. And the other one is that I think Argus-Lint is better than Grand Belial's Key, which surprisingly pisses off a lot of people, which I don't know why, because both bands have the same guitarist. But I will say the one controversial opinion I have posted here on YouTube that isn't comparing bands that has got a lot of mixed reactions still to this day is the whole video I did about Deathspell Omega, and I still stand by every single thing I said in that video, that, for the past 15 years, what people are freaking out about has been known since like 2004, and it's not, it shouldn't really affect your enjoyment with the band because someone finally discovered something so obvious that, again, I found out about the band back when I first discovered them within a month of knowing them, yet this certain person took 10 years for them to figure it out. Now all of a sudden everyone's just jumping down the band's throat because they have a certain sketchy person within the band, and it's like, how has this not affected your, enjoyment on them for the past 15 years? HG Ferguson asks, who do you think are the worst and best metal YouTubers and why? And also, how you got so damn swole. I'll start off by saying I am not swole by any means. I mean, I try to exercise, but the biggest problem I have with it is not doing the exercise, but actually sticking to a routine, which is easily the hardest thing to do, and I'm just so inconsistent with it. As for the other question about who I think are the worst or best metal YouTubers, I really don't want to drop names here, but when it comes to what I consider the worst or just not good, a majority of the time, it's a lot of the metal YouTubers that try to add comedy into their sketches. The problem I have with most of them is not only are they really not funny, but they just rely on the metal cliches that, have been done for years now, and it's like, you people really can't, expand upon it anymore. Like, seriously, I'm seeing some of these big metal comedy channels still find, yelling out Slayer in public funny somehow. Other metal YouTubers I don't really care for, are a majority, not all of them, are kind of like the metal reviewers because they seem to have, this schedule that they gotta post, every other day or every single day. And it just comes off not so much that you genuinely like it, but more as in hey guys, I found a heavy album. Check this out. Hey guys, I heard an album that's really fast. Listen to this. And it just, I don't know, when you stick to a routine and schedule, is it you really enjoying these albums, or you just hey, today is Tuesday, I now have to do a review. That album by Iron Bonehead, I'll review it. Now, as for the channels that I think are the best, or, at least good, because I really don't have, a specific metal channel that's the best. Really, some of my favorite channels right now on YouTube are all outside of metal, but the ones that I really enjoy a lot that I watch time and time again are really some of the smaller channels, because they don't really bullshit you with its content. It's not like they're spending, I don't know, like 5 minutes of an intro advertising something that no one ever fucking wants, or talking about their Patreon account that they needed to make this free content for us. It's like stuff like that I can't stand. But yeah, some of the smaller channels that have, like, you know, just specifically vinyl updates that talk about great music and help me discover, you know, all this, you know, wonderful music out there are really the ones I find myself going towards more than anything else. But two that I would actually say, come to think of it, that I really enjoy a lot are Goniloc's always been really fun as of lately, and his content's just gotten better, so hopefully he continues on. And believe it or not, the one that I think is top notch is God, I'm gonna get so much shit for this, is Hipster Black Metal, because me and him went from, you know, we kind of hate each other because he was going to do a roast on me back with all my shitty content, to ever since that Deathspell Omega incident, me and him have become like somewhat allies, I guess. And I don't know, just like the idea of just like always like being on the offense within metal has kind of like influenced me more to make all these satirical videos. Nobody asked, how long do you last? Oh, nobody. I know exactly what kind of question you're asking right here. So, ladies and gentlemen, I've lasted a little over 20 years thus far in life, but I do plan on lasting at least until around the 80-year mark, because that seems to be the average lifespan for human beings. Fermi Purple asks, do you have a girlfriend? No. Next question is by Endless Screaming. Are you going to make a video where you wear all your hats at once? You know what? Right now I will. So we'll have to sit like this now. 77RSK asks, if the mood took you, would you ever consider making a video that isn't cringe? Also, have you ever masturbated to a Canyon video? What I love so much about your questions is that you ask if I'll stop doing cringe videos, yet you proceed to ask me the cringiest question. I'll start by saying that I think every YouTuber has their own unique cringe qualities to them. So asking me, a person that does a very similar thing like other people, who shows off an outdated format like vinyl to a camera to complete strangers I've never talked about before as a hobby, I think that's a cringe within itself for like all the people of the world that are outside of this little niche group that we do. So I think it's kind of impossible for me to not make cringe-worthy videos, so hate to spoil it for you, it's just not going to happen. But as for your other question, do I ever masturbate to Canyon videos? I was really confused on this because I don't know what a Canyon video is. That I searched it up on YouTube, and all I got was Grand Canyon videos. So, sorry to tell you, I don't think as of yet I've ever masturbated to the Grand Canyon before. Alright, I'm going to take all this off because it's really hard to balance, and there's only a few more questions I'm going to do. So the next one comes from a few you guys all asking me what are some of my favorite video games. An easy choice for me would be Mass Effect. I love every single game that came out of that franchise. Aw, thanks man, I really appreciate. Shut the fuck up, no one was ever fucking talking to you, goddamn abomination! Correction, I meant to say the first 3 true Mass Effect games I absolutely love still to this day. Other franchises I enjoy, I mean, I still own all 3 Jak and Daxter on the PS2, because I still own my PS2 just to specifically play these games, along with the Sly Cooper franchise, because I love this game as well, almost as equally as much as Jak and Daxter. And the only other game that ranks up really high up on an all-time favorites of mine within video games would be this kind of like new game that was an indie game developed by Playdead called Inside. And yeah, it's your basic, you know, platformer puzzle game that takes around 3 hours to beat, but never before has a video game left me with so many questions that I've spent so many hours trying to understand what it means, with all these kind of like explanation videos on YouTube, that all of them have different explanations. None of them are consistent, and never before has a video game just left me just so curious with its message that I've dived into it just so hard that even still to this day, like nearly 5 years later after its release, people are still finding clues about it, and it's really quite the masterpiece if you want to play a video game. Diego G asks, as you've grown as a person through the years, how has your opinion on elitist behavior changed? Also, how has your opinion on gateway genres like nu metal, metalcore, deathcore changed? Thanks, dude. Personally, I don't think there's such a thing as elitists within metal. It's your opinion. Everyone has standards, and that's really it. So calling someone an elitist nowadays is absolutely pathetic and cringy as it can get. But as for my opinions on gateway genres, or in this case just in short, gateway bands regardless, I used to always think, you know, it's shitty and pathetic that, oh, that's a gateway band, you only like them. But now looking at it, in all seriousness, I look at them now, like, gateway bands, you gotta take like a lot of talent and creativity to become a gateway band. Because think about it, you are an artist for someone completely oblivious and new to a genre that they've never heard of, and you are getting them interested within it. So that's going to take a lot of talent and creativity for that to happen. So really, I look at gateway bands as a blessing more than a curse. Up next is from the Unground, who asked quite a few questions. Sup, Why? Very nice to see you're still making videos. Thank you. First one is, what exactly is the main difference between extreme metal and all other metal in your opinion? When I think of the word extreme metal being used to describe a band, I always looked at it more as just a very short answer way to talk about, like, you know, all these crazy subgenres that are out there, like, you know, black metal, death metal, thrash metal, speed metal. Instead of just being so specific with it, you know, just say extreme metal is just, you know, the shorter answer. Then he asked, do you have any tips for people to get used to talking to the camera? I've been wanting to make videos for a while, but it's difficult without the ability to edit. Honestly, I don't feel like I'm the best person to answer this question, because it took me like 3 to 5 years to finally just like talk to the camera without looking so awkward. And you know, in my own view, for all I know, a lot of you people still think I haven't improved whatsoever. But I guess just kind of talk to it as if you're just talking to like a friend or something, and don't really feel like you need to put like a filter with your vocabulary. Then his next question was, do you like Black Magic SS or any of the other bands that copy fit that style? Oh boy, I feel like I've been asked this so many times by people, but no, I really do not like Black Magic SS and the bands that copy it, because I'm all up for, you know, bands and artists out there experimenting with genres. I'm all up for it. But god damn, Black Magic SS to me just comes off like such a mess in my own view, because it just feels, you know that sound when you have like a warped record and all the guitars or all the synth work or just basically the music in general starts going like, like that's what Black Magic SS just sounds like from beginning to end. Then his final question was, is noise power electronics something you legitimately are into, or is it more or less a passive interest of yours? I guess for me it was just kind of like one of these interesting things, because it was just so, you know, different and abnormal from what I thought music could do. Like, a lot of people kind of consider noise to be what black is to color. Like, it's the complete opposite. It's anti-music, and that's what really got me interested with it. But the more I kind of got into it, the more I just realized a huge majority, like 99.99999% of noise artists, they're just like, you know, throwaway artists that, you know, they're just like, yeah, I threw shit at the wall, this is what I got, here you go. And really, the only artists out there within noise I even find any enjoyment with is still like Purian, and that still being like still bits and pieces within his discography. And the other one is the Gora Giga Gig Gig, if hopefully I'm saying that right, from Japan. J.I. Vargas asked, name every drug you've tried in reverse alphabetical order. So there's really 3 that come to mind. First, I guess since we're doing it in reverse alphabetical order, is mushrooms, which really wasn't that great in my opinion. It just really didn't do anything. It just tasted like fucking shit. Then, you know, the marijuana, which I feel like, you know, that's kind of a given at this point. And acid, which was a very bad idea. Franzea Nocturnus asks, what's your favorite demo from any genre? Well, I don't have a particular all-time favorite demo, but the few that come to mind that I thought were really good for demo quality was the clipping demo was really good, and Akitsa's Total Servitude for black metal demo standards is phenomenal. Alright, and last question for this video is by Buzzes Bastus, probably said that very wrong, which is gonna go well with this question. Tell your cringiest story. Alright, so originally I was just gonna do all these short stories that are kinda cringy, but you guys kinda know most of them, like, you know, me doing a whole drunk vinyl update is pretty stupid, but I would say the absolute cringiest thing I could tell you guys, which kind of ties in with YouTube as well, which makes it all the better, was that if you guys kind of notice in my About section, it says that I believe this channel was created back in 2007 or 2009, around one of those years. And originally, my YouTube channel was not YXHim during that time. It was him 3 Days Grace. I called it him 3 Days Grace. And what I did for content around that time was I made all these videos that just popped up in my head, and they were really fucking bad. There was one video I talked about that, you know, harsh vocals are terrible back when I thought, you know, metal was like shitty. A video about that 2012 is not gonna happen. It's not the end of the world because, you know, Big Rain Boy there moment for me. And then there was also videos I did a vocal cover, I don't know why, of Eiffel 65's I'm Blue, which I don't know why the fuck I did that. There was also a vocal cover of a System of a Down song. Me and my friends would do like the dumbest fucking things. And I pretended once I was a serial killer. I put on this skull mask, and my friend acted as if he was William Shatner asking me questions, and he was going, so he would go like, so, serial killer, why did you do this? And I would answer him seriously with a skull mask on, talking about why I did this, where I got my skull mask. I think I told him I got my skull mask from Walmart. And in the background, my friend's brother was playing fucking Call of Duty. So we really didn't have high standards for why we were doing this. And as well, too, I would talk about my daily life on this channel back then and talk about, you know, school life, or the girl I was crushing on, stuff like that. And it was just so bad just remembering all of this. But thankfully, those videos are absolutely just destroyed and deleted from this world, as I think I deleted them back in either 2010. So they are just absolutely gone. Like, there's no possible way of finding them. And it's a huge reason why I think for like so many years after that, I just didn't want to be doing YouTube until 2014, when I had the inspiration and I guess desire to start doing videos like I am now. And that'll do it for this video, guys, with all the Q&As. Thanks everyone so much for participating, asking questions. I'll try to do more videos like this in the future because they're always really fun to make. But like always, guys, make sure you guys drink plenty of water to stay hydrated. And for the final remarks on this video, I will answer the question by the last Spartan, who asked, do I know the name of Lovecraft's cat? And, well, it's really interesting, actually, because I do know its name. It's called